Welcome to Depth of Field. Depth of Field is a community news and public affairs show here at CMAP, serving the communities of Gilroy, Hollister, and San Juan Bautista. Today we're starting a series about the economy and specifically how it's affecting local residents of our communities. My guest today is Kurt Michelson, who is from South Valley National Bank. He is the Senior Vice President there. And while he has said to me he's not an expert, he's not an economist, but he is very knowledgeable about the economy, and you're a local banker.
That's right. Kathy, I live in Hollister, spend time with South Valley National Bank here in Gilroy, also go up to Morgan Hill, and occasionally I'm in San Juan Bautista. So
tell us a little bit, in layman's terms, how we got into this mess with the economy.
It didn't happen overnight. It was really, to me, trace it back to the real estate. And trace it back to the real estate bubble. We all benefited from it. Our home property values went up. We were able to take our equity and turn it around and buy a rental property or buy a car. Unfortunately, the prices started going up too much, and people started taking advantage of that increase in prices and started buying rental properties, investment properties, and ultimately they couldn't afford to make the payments on the rental property, their home equity line of credit, their first mortgage, and they started giving properties back.
So why didn't things just continue to go up and up and up?
Buyers went away.
Yeah.
If the prices go up, we can only qualify for so large a payment. And when the rates started going up, fewer and fewer people could qualify, fewer and fewer buyers, and it stopped. The bubble popped. And it started in the outlying areas first. It started out in Los Banos and Gustine, and then it came over to Hollister and Salinas. And
we where I live in Santa Cruz and also here in Gilroy, we're really feeling it now. What are some of the things that you're hearing from your local customers, commercial and residential?
Everyone's hurting. The businessmen are hurting. The consumers are hurting. I was talking to a manufacturer today that's in the cabinet business, and his business, it stopped. He looks forward to the phone ring in case somebody's going to buy. People are having, their neighbors' homes are being foreclosed upon, or they're abandoning their homes. So all of us are feeling that. And that affects all of us, and our property values go down because the foreclosure down the street was sold, and that becomes a comp if we're getting an appraisal. But it really only hurts if I have to sell my house or if I have to give back the house or lose the house for payments.
Otherwise, your advice to me was just to ride it out. Because you've seen, as somebody in the financial industry, you've really seen these ebbs and flows happen, right?
Yes, if you can stick it out, if you can hold on to your job, and you don't have to sell, you'll get through it. The values aren't going to come back tomorrow. It's going to take some time for it to come back. I read something today about the economy turning around, not in early part of this year, but later this year, possibly in early 2010.
So let's talk just briefly about how that happened. Why did the real estate bubble pop? We talked a little bit about the home equity and people taking out more home equity than they could afford to try to flip houses. How did that all unravel?
Well, our equity started going up on our house. So we say, gee, I have this equity, I can take that equity, use my home equity line of credit, use that equity, buy it, put a down payment on a house that I want to turn around, sell, flip, whatever they call it.
Rental, maybe.
Or rental, yes. That's fine. But I now have a payment on my first, I have a payment on my home equity line, and I have a payment on that house I just bought. Interest rates go up. It gets harder and harder to qualify, keep those payments going. And if I'm not able to sell that house, that rental, or the renter moves out, or if I can't sell or flip that house that I was investing in, I'm going to have to make a decision. Do I keep making the payments or I stop making them?
It's kind of like a pyramid scheme. You know, the people who start the program, they get out quick and they make their money.
That's
and then
right.
The rest of us really don't. And we get stuck with the bill, which is the state of the economy today.
That's right. All of us, again, we've benefited, some more than others. And some of the risk takers are paying for that right now also.
So we talked a little bit about the fact that greed was definitely a part of this equation. And what happened? Why did banks start allowing people who maybe they weren't even checking up on their IRS records to see whether they even had a job last year to get a house?
The stated income loan. Banks don't like to turn people down. We want to help, whether you're a bank or a mortgage company. you want to help. You want that individual to be able to get into their dream house. You want that individual to be able to make that investment. The Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the government relaxed their lending criteria.
So it really happened at the government level first. The government relaxed their regulations in terms of who could get a loan, and
That's
they
right.
changed the criteria from
Made it
what it
easier.
had traditionally been.
Made it easier to get the loan. Some of the lenders didn't follow up, didn't check, didn't verify income, didn't verify employment. There was fraud out there too. You've heard about the individual that falsified an application, or don't worry about that, we'll take care of that just to make it work. So all of these things added up, and ultimately it popped. And as a result, there's a lot of foreclosures out there. Some areas are worse than others. Salinas has over 4,000 foreclosures.
Wow. Do you know what the numbers are in Gilroy? I heard something in Hollister was 3,000 just in the month of November.
No. Hollister, I did some checking on on Realty Track. Hollister had 889 homes in various
In one
stages in December.
In December, okay.
In various stages of foreclosure. Morgan Hill only had 361. Gilroy had 851 homes in various stages of foreclosure.
Wow.
You contrast that though with Salinas had 4,300.
But that's really, when you think of about 1,000 people in our community, in a community of 45,000, I mean that's a pretty high percentage that are being impacted by this, and they're not the only ones being impacted, right? There's a ripple effect.
Oh, the neighbors, they're impacted with it because the lawn is full of weeds.
Yeah.
The swimming pools.
Interesting.
Back, I used in the late 80s and early 90s, in that recession, I did have to foreclose on a couple homes, and it seemed like every home had a swimming pool, and green water and things floating in it.
Yeah.
And
So it's impacting us in that way. And then the other thing is, I mean, we talked about this issue of liquidity for banks. So there was sort of this trickle down that even happened in the financial industry. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, lenders, we in turn have loans go bad. We have to take that loan and get it off our books in some way. So it comes out of our reserves, or it comes off a different portion of our balance sheet. If we have too many losses, it comes out of earnings. So eventually, you have too many losses, your bank can go under, or can go under. You saw that with IndyMac, you saw it with WAMU. Banks just don't go under overnight. But what ultimately happened, banks were having, other banks that we lend to or borrow from didn't have trust in whatever bank it was.
Right.
And
so Countrywide went down, AIG went down, WAMU, Wachovia went down, Bear Stearns.
Each one was a different entity. Bear Stearns was an investment bank. AIG was an insurance company.
Right.
But WAMU, IndyMac, those were primarily lenders in real estate. Now, one thing that's important to remember, though, that every one of those, WAMU and Wachovia, those banks don't go under overnight. There's a long kind of a death spiral.
Yeah. And so the long and the short of it is that all of this happening at once, this convergence of banks and other big corporations going under, really affected consumer confidence, which kind of set us even deeper into that spiral. What do you think it's going to take for the new administration at the national level, or even just at the local level, to try to build consumer confidence and get the economy started again?
Well, we're going to have confidence in our jobs, in ourselves.